It's time for Market Explainer, your number one business news podcast. Hosted by Danny and the big man. And it starts right now.
But we're going to move on to this last story. And before we do that, I want to tell you about a new sponsor today, Bolo Intelligence. You can go to bolointel.com. You can learn about tracking systems. Now, if you're a Turo host, if you're a host on Gatorade, you should have a tracking system in your vehicle. Hey, you got a new driver at your house? You should probably get an inexpensive tracking system that you can just plop right into the car very easily so you can learn about where your teenager is going, how they're driving, what speed. Hey, do you have an elderly parent that you can't take their license away or take their car away yet? This is also great for that. It's inexpensive. We have a lot of different products on that website. You can go to bolointel.com and learn more about tracking systems today.
Their logo is absolutely amazing. It is so unique. It's so
one of
amazing.
It's one of my new projects, and when I sent it to Big Man, he had a lot of opinions, and all of his opinions are historically stupid when it comes to branding.
I'm telling you, it's awesome. It's very familiar.
He's being super sarcastic. He can't tell the difference between the sun and the moon. So
there you go.
So this last story is, I think, very interesting.
Of course you do. You definitely think it's interesting. Go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So YouTubers Logan Paul and KSI, I don't even care about KSI. He's uninteresting to me. But he's huge in the United Kingdom. So these two, KSI, the YouTube boxing phenomenon started in the UK. So,
okay.
Yeah, so the Americans took it and ran with it, but it really starts in the UK. And KSI did a boxing match where he calls out Logan Paul and says, I'll fight any of the Paul brothers, even the dad. And this is right after Logan had the controversy a couple years ago. And this kind of rehabilitated Logan's image in the eye of the public. Now, what ended up happening is these two had another fight. Logan Paul goes on to fight, Floyd Mayweather last year, which was wild. And these two, podcast a couple months ago, and they seemed friendly. They went from being these harsh rivals and it didn't seem like a fake rivalry like put on for boxing fans. It was a legitimate rivalry.
As far as the world was concerned, these two did not like each other. The fights were promoted in the way that they didn't like each other.
Correct.
The all of the things that were done, at least on camera, were of they didn't like each other and this kind of stuff. So it was a surprise that these two are working together on a brand.
So here's what's really brilliant to me. Because people thought this was going to be a trilogy where they ended up fighting each other a third time.
They thought that's what the announcement was going to be, right? That they were going to fight each other a third time.
So what's interesting is, these guys say, they do all this build up. We're going to have this big announcement. They kind of set up some of the promos that look like it's going to be the announcement for a third boxing match. It's not. It's this announcement that they're working on. They've launched, and here's the interesting thing. We talk about a lot of things on this podcast where this thing is coming, right? Sony's going to make a car. It's coming. They said, we're launching this thing, and you can just go to Kroger today and buy it. Right? And here's what the genius of this to me. These two have disparate audiences, something the big man loves to talk about on this podcast. Building an audience. You have to build an audience. Tell you what, pew pew pew. Tell you what, you got to build yourself an audience. Tell you what,
and it's still true. Go ahead.
Correct, and they have audiences that are, interestingly enough, for internet content creators that are specific to the United States and specific to the UK. So they have
they are fans. Their audience is fans. They crave
fans.
They crave not only the stuff, the type of content that these people put out, but also crave these products. So Prime Hydration is what it's called. And as soon as I read that, I thought, Coach Prime, there's only one Prime. Well, no, even before Amazon Prime, there was a Prime. He was a Dallas Cowboys football player, and they even still today he's a coach, and he's Coach Prime because he was Prime Time, and he kind of that name kind of belongs to him.
Yeah, so the only Prime I'm worried about is Optimus. So
Prime hydration, but look, Prime hydration. Look here. I don't want to get too far into the boxing thing, but here, KSI, the Paul brothers, these are at their core, they are entertainers. Correct. Right? The KSI started out as a streamer, right? A gaming streamer, right? But
he played FIFA, which is one of the reasons he's not an American. We don't care about.
Nobody cares about soccer, but
we love PewDiePie in America, but we don't give a frick about soccer.
But he did create a streaming company called Sidemen. My children watch some of these YouTube videos because it's like he was kind of on the KSI when he was young made very kid friendly kind of streaming, and then he got some buddies in on it, and then it became a Sidemen project, and they're made for kids, right? That became a trend. Now a decade later, watching people watch video games and highlights and Fortnite highlights, and it's a thing, right? And KSI, even though a lot of these videos that my kids watch they don't know that they're 6, 7, 8 years old, right? As far as the age of the video, they just know that they're watching something funny, right?
Correct.
And some of them have KSI in it, and he's not being belligerent. This is before his rap days, before when he was trying to create that audience and appeal to the most amount of people, and he was funny, and he did all these things. Here's my point, though. He now owns a vodka line in the UK. He owns a chain of restaurants. He's an entertainer. He's a businessman. The Paul brothers have gone from being YouTubers to being entertainers to being businessmen, right?
Right, yeah.
To me, and I say I don't want to go too far into the boxing thing because to me, I put their boxing matches in that category. They are entertainment.
It's 100% entertainment. But as someone who loves combat sports, let me tell you, it's all a gimmick. They're legitimately fighting people, but to put here's all I'm saying.
I can't even tell you that they're legitimately fighting, but are they punching each other? Absolutely. Is it worldwide wrestling? Entertainment? No. Well, they punch each other either, but it's still scripted. I don't know that for a fact. My point is it's entertainment, right?
I'm saying it's working. It's scripted. Yeah, it's working.
It's working.
So here's what I will say. Here's why I think this is smart. The beverage industry is brutal. It is a brutal industry.
It 100% is.
The fact that they have distribution that's this wide already off the rip, for two guys who have, I don't care where the heck they went, who they partnered with, the fact that they have distribution that this wide, that is international, is bonkers. Okay? Now, let me tell you, I love the beverage industry, and so I've watched so many videos of, Rohan Oza, who's, occasional on Shark Tank, most of their stuff. It is homicide. You will die in this industry, but the ones who win, the ones who figure out distribution, all that other stuff, they print money. And here's how they end up printing money. They don't print money on sales today. They exit. They end up, here's what's going to happen. I predict in less than 3 years' time, Coca-Cola will end up owning Prime, and these guys will each walk away with a cool $50 million.
Well, they own everything else. PepsiCo and Coca-Cola make it impossible around the world to get into any form of the drinking industry. Okay?
So the drinks industry, beverages, especially healthy beverage, here's what Big Man said used to be the 100% truth. Here's what's happened. Pepsi and Coca-Cola realized, hey, wait, we'll let everybody else innovate. We'll sit back and we'll watch. We'll figure out who's scrappy. We'll figure out who builds the brand. We'll figure out who, builds it up. And then we'll just show up and we'll buy them out for an offensive volume of money.
It's what happened to Snapple. It's what happened. Snapple created its own brand, its own thing, its own whatever, and then just got bought up.
So the one that in my lifetime that is really memorable is a smart vitamin water and smart water.
Oh, vitamin water and smart water, sure.
And that's where this model was kind of born of like, hey, why would we're going to spend all this money on innovation. Let somebody else waste the money on innovation. Let them figure it out. And if they're smart enough to figure it out, and if they're smart and the marketplace really latches on, we'll show up with so much money. They won't say no.
Bags full of cash.
Yes. famously, 50 Cent owned 10% of Vitamin Water, and it made him $100 million on exit, right? He made $100 million. So I think what's going to happen is these guys absolutely are backed by some sort of larger business, right? They will
Well, at
end
least
up.
from a distribution standpoint,
They
right? Like
have
at
to be.
least they have to be because obviously the Paul brothers and KSI did not go out and buy a
Distribution system.
manufacturing and
Right.
distribution plant to create Prime whatever. That
Right.
they went to somebody, right? Much
Yeah.
like we were talking about the Sony Automotive went to
Listen,
a car
Magna Steyr.
manufacturer.
Yeah. Listen, I bet you $100. They didn't even go to somebody. It was the other way around. Somebody's manager
Sure.
said, "Hey, these two guys have a younger audience, right? That they so great for KSI. He owns a vodka company. Majority of his audience can't go buy vodka yet, right?
Right.
So, and a lot of these kids are probably athletic. They're probably playing school sports. They're probably drinking a Gatorade or a Powerade. So this isn't an energy drink. So their parents aren't worried about they're gonna whatever. So, and it's got coconut water and it's all healthy and vitamins and blah blah blah, right?
Well, even in
So
the article, it says there's nothing new into this drink, right? It's very
correct.
similar to other recipes that are currently on the market. But
Yes.
here's the deal: we all know that it's not always what you do, it's who you know, right?
Correct.
And in this
Correct.
case, you have KSI and the Paul brothers that they already have relationships.
It's not the
What
Paul
if it's
brothers, it's just Logan, but yeah.
then that really means it's the Paul brothers. They
I
work
doubt it.
their
No.
entire and they have been their entire lives. It's all
Yeah, it's
under
true.
the umbrella, right?
Yeah.
The point is you think whether it's Logan Paul or Jake Paul that they're not leveraging each other's relationships to do
They are.
everything. They are.
They
Okay.
are.
So if you turn around and let's just say, even though Dana White has made it very clear how he feels about the Paul brothers and vice versa, what if 6 months from now, 3 months from now, a month from now, Prime Hydration is the official UFC
Yeah.
drink, right? And that's what
'Cause
they're giving to
I
all these people. That's what's on the UFC TV show that comes out
Yeah.
and whatever. What because they have that partnership. They have the ability to go make these partnerships.
Yeah,
And
Dana
that's how
White
you
and
get to the public.
right. Dana White and Logan are familiar with each other, and I wouldn't be surprised.
They don't have to like each other to get in business with each other, right?
They
The
don't
Paul
have
brothers,
to, but yeah.
Dana White goes, "Hey, you got this power drink, and that's what sports is.
Yeah.
You want in the power industry, you got to get into the sports industry, right? And
Right, yeah.
you're not going to get into the NFL, you're not going to get into
Yeah, right.
baseball, you're not going to
Well,
get into these other ones.
To make it, Jake Paul apparently is in talks with used to be called the World Fighting League or something I think it's called the Combat Sport. I forget what it is, but
Okay.
he is in a contract with. I would call them number 3 in combat sports. It's obviously UFC number 1, then a Country Mile is number 2, Bellator, then these guys PFL. Listen. I just want to applaud the genius of this move, right? Like I said, within 3 to 5 years, these boys will exit with a $50 million payday minimum. And that's not including the millions they're going to make on the way. But the real business here is the exit. And I do think that they're going to end up getting bought probably by Pepsi because Coca-Cola owns a lot of this space, so Pepsi's going to want some too. So
Yeah, I'm never been a huge fan of the Paul brothers, KSI. A lot of people very similar to them. However, I cannot like someone and appreciate
The
a certain
business
thing about it. In this
tactic,
case,
yeah.
the business. They are entertainers that have
Right.
built multifaceted businesses at this
Correct.
standpoint, doing things that guess what they wanted to do, like.
Yeah.
They built that look very Joe Rogan-esque, very
Yes.
your mom's house-esque,
Yeah.
very whatever. Hey, this is something I enjoy doing. Let's see if we can make some money at it. For the
Hey.
Paul brothers, it was YouTube, and then it was
Right.
boxing, and that,
Right.
you know what I mean? All these different
And
things.
hey, I follow Logan Paul on Instagram, and he is posting stories of his fans going to the store and buying all the stock.
Of
right?
course, why not?
So I'm a fanboy of a lot of different things, but I've never understood fandom at the scale where you go, I need to help this multimillionaire make more money.
I don't understand that either. I don't either. But again, that's the kind of power that they sway, right? Like that's the kind of impressive dedication, and
it is so wild that these guys launch, and there are people who, with every tactic, with everything under their belt, could not say, you can go today and buy my new beverage at Walmart, Kroger, Whole Foods. That's wild. It's unbelievable that they have that kind of
and that their people go out and buy it and spend oodles amount of money on it to sell it out because they want to be the person that puts up a picture on Instagram at Logan Paul or whatever his name is on Instagram and say, I bought this entire bed
shelf
of it, and they get tweeted back by Logan Paul going, oh, that's so awesome.
Listen, for those people who I presume they don't have tons of money, the fact that the repayment that they're looking for is Logan Paul reposted my story on Instagram.
Or acknowledged me in some way.
Okay, bro. Here's the thing. Good for you. I'm a believer in the free market. If the market is responding in that way and somebody's using their limited funds to support you, God bless. I'm not here to tell other people what to do with their money.
I agree.
So good for them. I just thought it was, listen, and the fact that Big Man hates this story so much is one of the reasons I put it in. So
yes. So, that's how Danny feels.
Hey, y'all, I just want to end off with, as I do on every episode, with my tip of the week, which, of course, this week is today's conspiracies are tomorrow's science. So just to let you know.
No, not true at all. But thank you.
That remains to be seen.
So we'll see you next time, folks.
Bye.